Okay, fam, welcome back. So today we're going to be going over the grayscale trusts, and we'll talk a little bit about crypto too. So with that being said, let's get it. All right, so Bitcoin still in this bull flag. I'm pretty much just going to make this short and sweet. My expectations going forward for the rest of the month. Again, there's no guarantee I'm going to be right about this, but based on historical data and the previous cycles and all that, I would say that this is probably the highest probability scenario potentially playing out here. So here's what I think is going to happen. Okay, so we get into the back half of December, which would be obviously next week's trading week going into the end of the year. I think we're likely going to finally start seeing the price of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the altcoins as well as the Bitcoin miners start shooting up to much higher prices. Okay, I think that's what's going to happen, especially even more so once we get past this next FOMC meeting, which is next week on the 18th. I think it's at 11 in the morning Pacific Standard Time. Again, I don't remember the exact time. I'd have to go back and look. I'm sure the Fed can always change their time if they want to, but obviously they're not going to do it. There's probably a reason why they do it. So anyways, that's kind of what I'm expecting here with the altcoins. So basically, I think pretty much everything, obviously the Grayscale Trust too, going to start moving up in crypto in the back half of December. Ethereum will probably start taking over some of that spotlight in January. And the biggest moves for altcoins will probably begin happening January to March of next year. Okay. I don't think it's going to take as long as March to get the altcoin season really starting to kick off. I think, some of these coins could be already doing 10, 20, 30 X's by then. We'll just have to wait and see, but that's kind of my expectations. Okay, so we're going to go over the trust now. Alrighty. There is one other thing I wanted to point out too. Apparently, CLSK finally jumped on board with Riot and Mara with doing the whole convertible note thing, which is the MicroStrategy strategy. If you guys don't know what that is, go look it up. But basically, it's something along the lines of, and again, don't quote me on this, I may be wrong, but it's something along the lines of doing convertible notes at 0% interest for a later dated due date or expiration date, something like that, where they can then go and borrow the money to buy Bitcoin or do other things like stock buybacks and whatnot. So if you get a chance, go look that up. It's extremely bullish for CLSK, in my opinion. Okay, so LTCN had a question as to whether I think the price could come back to below this white line to roughly about 1750. I'm not sure if that's going to happen. It could happen, but usually when we get a breakout of these channels, it doesn't really, you guys can see it doesn't really actually come back and go back into the channel. It could happen, I suppose, but the possibility of it happening is pretty slim based on what I'm seeing here. So, maybe if you get a wick down there, if you're lucky, again, I am going to stick with the thesis that I think crypto is going to start ripping in the back half of December. So maybe crypto even goes up over the weekend into next week. The native crypto space, that could always happen too. So anyways, buy zone here for LTCN about 18. Targets anything from 25 to 27 all the way up to 54. Keep in mind the all-time highs are at 510. We'll go over the max profits this weekend because, again, want to keep that rolling every so often, just so in case we do start breaking to price discovery, you guys know what to expect here. So 200% gain on this one. Next one, BCHG. So nice little inverse head and shoulders within an inverse head and shoulders, which I suspect is probably what's going on here. It's what's referred to in coding as a nested. They don't use head and shoulders as a terminology in coding, but there's things like oh crap, I can't remember. It's been so long since I've been in Java and JavaScript. But they have like these nested things that you can do with the coding, where you can put like some code within a code, and it's referred to as nested. But yeah, anyways, long story short, so you got this little mini inverse head and shoulders here. The target did get hit. It was kind of somewhere around this wick here, and then you have this bigger one. Okay. So it's interesting to see that, but yeah, now we have the bigger one, and it looks like maybe it wants to play out, get a break above this neckline. If that does happen, the move is going to be somewhere around, Looks like maybe about 14 bucks on this. Keep in mind the targets for these, if they get hit, it doesn't mean that it has to sell off afterwards. And as a matter of fact, once it gets past this level, it's probably going to shoot much higher because, again, you've broken two structure levels and you got past a major resistance zone that was resistance back here and also here. So my guess is even when it hits this target, probably still going to go up to this level up here at this 18 to 20 next pretty quickly, I would think. So that's just kind of my thesis on that. Okay, so 24 would be the next target up here. The all-time high for BCHG is 60. The buy zone pretty much at the current price as of right now. So I'd say about the EMAs, anywhere around the EMAs. So 730 to 770, somewhere in there would be your best bet at this point. Again, not financial advice, 215% gain here. If you are worried it's going to dip lower, then maybe around $6, maybe a better option. Do keep in mind you would probably have to sit on some cash and wait for that opportunity to occur. If it does or if it does not, remains to be seen. There's two scenarios here that could play out. You could be waiting for this thing to dip down to 6, and it could just go straight up and you could miss out on the opportunity. But if your bags are already packed, you're not worried about it. Alternatively, you could also, and this is assuming that you try to do the contrarian move on the market and it moves against you. You could also just FOMO into this position here as it pushes up at the EMAs, above the EMAs, and then we kind of get shot back down here from structure, back down to support at $6. And then you're like, what the hell? Well, it went back down. Now I gotta buy at $6 too. So there's always that. Okay. That's part of the reason why we talk about the kind of sideways accumulation, because once the accumulation happens, it takes a while for it to actually play out. And again, I can show you endless charts on accumulation, but usually when it does happen, it takes a while to play out. But once it breaks out, it's gone. Okay, this thing just absolutely takes off. So that's kind of what you're seeing here. And again, getting in at the bottom of the accumulation zone is always the better idea to kind of give yourself an asymmetrical bet. Okay, so HZEN, again, can literally show you another accumulation. This is a perfect example of what I was just talking about. Sideways, down here at support, obviously getting in at the lows here, kind of this 350 area was your best bet. Boom, it popped off to the upside, and it has not come back since. Albeit it's only been a couple weeks, but if you had targeted this perfectly, you'd be up about 125%. So just something to keep in mind. Okay, so pullback area here for HZEN, about $5 on this one. Targets, I'd be looking for anywhere from 8 all the way up to 1230. About 150% gain on this. And I'll just go over the all-time highs in this video so you guys can see this. So the all-time high back here was at 30 for HZEN. So, I mean, it could still go up another 5x before even hitting price discovery. And keep in mind, this thing came out towards the end of the bull run last cycle. So we really actually don't even know what's possible with this yet. There's really only a few ways to tell. I mean, we could do the Fibonacci's, we could do the Bollinger Bands. We could try to compare it to the underlying token, which is Horizon, which Horizon could still easily have like a 10 to 12x in it, putting HZEN at maybe like a $70, $80 price. But price discovery, trying to target where that could potentially top is a very difficult thing to do. The only leading indicators that we have would be like maybe some kind of bearish divergence popping up on high time frames, or getting an overbought signal on the RSI and early potential curling over of the MACDs to the downside, stuff like that. So ETCG, this one still looks good. It is a green candle. It's not really technically an indecision. I would say this is more bullish. It is a doji, which is an indecision candle, but the candle closes kind of closer towards the top, which is bullish in my opinion. So I would say still 13 to kind of 1580 is a good buy area. For this one, I'd be looking actually for anywhere from 20 going all the way up to this next level, 40 to 50, because again, if you're in this to make gains, you're in this to make huge gains, right? You're not trying to make something small. Some people swing trade it, some people position trade, some people day trade it. We're looking at different things and different videos on these. For these kinds of videos, it's more position swing trading, short term short-term gains, that kind of thing. But for the max profit videos, that's more for kind of your hodlers, people that are looking to hold for like 6-12 months for like 1,000, 2,000, 3,000% gain. Okay, so about 285% here, ETH. So we're once again approaching this top yet, have not gotten back up there yet. I'm going to go ahead and put a line up here because once we get past this thing's probably going to start ripping pretty hard to the upside. I mean, the next level up here is kind of this 43 to 47. Then you have your cup and handle target up there at 53. Nice big cup handle. You can see it there on the chart. And actually, this is going to sound crazy, but believe it or not, this could also be another accumulation zone. You see it's going up and down, but mostly sideways. I mean, guys, I literally can't make this stuff up. Is it perfectly at the bottom? No, but it's definitely not at the top. That's for sure. Okay, so potential pullback buy areas here, 2360 to 2860. Cup and handle target still going to be kind of the first area. 125% gain here. GBAT, so yeah, I'm not really liking this wick too much, and this red candle came back down to the EMAs, but I have told you guys before that the EMAs is basically a median tool, so when the price gets too overextended from it, it will come back, test, and then take off. So maybe this thing starts ripping next week, straight off the EMAs, and then, you know, it's already basically rebalanced itself here. It could just easily go back up if it wanted to. Okay, so the buy area down here between $7 to, I'd say, about $8. You could even put it as high as 10 if you're a little bit more lenient with your positioning. 32, the all-time highs would be the target, and then we'll talk about the max profits in a later video. 350% gain on this one. FILG, so nice little bounce off the EMAs. This is a very bullish looking wick here. So when you get a long wick to the downside with a small candle at the top, also known as a hammer candle, especially off of something like a support or an indicator like the EMAs or the VWAP or something like that, that's extremely bullish. The only thing I would have liked to have seen was this be a green candle. It's not a green candle, it's a red candle. But nonetheless, still a very bullish candle in my opinion. So this could also start screaming to the upside next week, kind of in confluence with what I said about where I think crypto is going towards the back half of this month. But we'll have to wait and see on that. So buy zones here is still 57 to 65. Target all the way up here at 400. Does it come back down to that green zone there? Probably not. 550% gain. I'll just let you guys know this zone down here below if you're worried about it, 36 to 45, just to kind of keep in the back of your mind if you're like, yeah, I don't really trust this. But you guys got to understand, okay, we're trying to show you guys how to think like smart money, not like dumb money. Okay, dumb money would probably see this thing start ripping and, you know, they'd, how do I explain this? So where's the drawing tool at? Here we go. So they'd probably see something like this, right? And it's a really ugly drawing. I'm well aware of that. Sorry about that. Yeah, that's hideous, right? But some people may want to get in here in retail. Some people may want to get in here. Some people may want to get in right here. A lot of people are probably going to want to get in right here when they, well, okay. A lot of people are probably going to want to get in right here and right here, but you might have like small segments of people getting in here. This is all retail. Okay, this is all dumb money. This is usually when smart money is looking to take their positions. Okay, as these things are screaming all-time highs and even past all-time highs, smart money got in down here. Dumb money got in up here. We're trying to show you guys ways in order to kind of more operate like smart money and not leave any money on the table, so to speak, if it can be helped, right? Whereas smart money, you know, they were loading their bags down here in these accumulations, kind of support zones, and they're just simply waiting for the price to rip. And when it does rip, well, guess what? They're going to make a ton of money. And unfortunately, retail, because they don't know anything about this space, they're just here for the quick buck, and then they're gone. The vast majority of them probably going to lose money. Okay, so GLIV. We did get a candle above this, but then a candle below it, so I'm still going to hold this as a structural level until we get a test and a bounce off of it. Buy zone as of right now, 1580 to about 1850. Target up here is the all-time high, so that's 80. 400% gain. Wow. Okay. Yeah, so I read some news that Trump just bought like $50 million worth of Bitcoin. The ringing of the New York Stock Exchange bell was a big deal. I don't think I've ever seen a president ever to have ringed the bell at the markets. Okay. And I've been doing this for a long time. As far as I can remember, I do not ever recall a time ever when a president of the United States has done that. But for a president to then go buy 50 million and of crypto, and again, I'll have to pull this up later to show you guys, but one of Trump's picks, if I remember correctly, was actually Chainlink. So yeah, that's even more bullish. So yeah, my guess is probably this is starting to really scream higher because of that news. Again, like I told you guys before, if something's not moving, it's either, my guess is one of two reasons. Okay, if it's at the lows and it hasn't moved yet, it's one of two reasons. Number one, because smart money's not done accumulating and they haven't done their dark pool thing or whatever they're doing to cause the price to rip, right? And then everybody starts FOMOing in and it kind of feeds on itself. Or number two, some kind of news catalyst pushes it up and causes it to skyrocket. Then everybody wants a piece of the pie once it looks attractive, right? So this is number two in my in this particular situation, in my opinion. Okay, but like I told you guys, if you were buying back down here at the bottom, let's just say you got in at 38. I mean, you would already be up 254%. And I mean, guys, I literally can't even make this up. I don't know how many times we've gone over this. What does this look like to you? Right? Looks like an accumulation zone. What happened? Boom. Took off like a rocket to the moon. And again, I don't even think this thing is done. I think it's just getting started. So any potential pullback here is 66 to 85. 220, the all-time highs, that would be the target. And again, I'm going to measure this against if there is a pullback, so 240% gain here. If there's not, obviously the profit potential would not be as high, but presumably you want to be locked in at as low a price possible, right? Okay, so GSOL, I don't really like the way this looks. I'll just be honest about it. It does actually maybe look like it wants to break down, but again, do I think it's going to break down? We'll have to wait and see. I mean, again, the target for this would be a negative price, which seems ridiculous because when you're long, an asset can't go negative. It can only go to zero. Okay. Again, we've talked about this. The risk for a long is 100% loss. The risk for a short is infinite because the markets can go up forever. So yeah, not really sure about this one. So I would say in the current area, probably the best area to buy right now. So 2250 to maybe as high as 50. If you're worried that it's not going to stay there and maybe it goes lower, okay, fair enough. Because again, I don't understand why they did a stock split. You could be looking maybe all the way down to $3 to 14. But again, Solana's a pretty popular project, so I don't know that it really goes that low. We'll see. 72 to 80 would be the immediate target. So potentially a 250% gain here. Again, we did tell you that because GSOL before the stock split already had such a huge move, we were kind of not really wanted to touch it. We thought something maybe more attractive would have been like GBAT, where, you know, it's not sitting at the highs already. Okay, so GXLM, nice little rejection here. Am I shocked? Not really. I mean, it had 4 weeks of green ups, so that's kind of to be expected. I would still say this 36 to 40 would potentially be a good area to buy if it does pull back. Because of where it sits right now and because of the pullback area, I would say maybe this swing high, so 68 going all the way up to 96 would be the probably the profit target area to look for, so about 150% gain. And the all-time high for this one is 94. So the top of that range, once it hits the top of that range, is probably a pretty good chance it's going to start hitting price discovery. That's usually how it goes. So, okay, so Mana, nice little W pattern. If it does break out, that would break the neckline. Then obviously the move up would, well, it's hard to say exactly what it would be. I mean, it could be up here at 34. Or could be all the way up there, excuse me, at 36. I mean, it's pretty much right about the same area regardless, so we'll say maybe around 35. But once it gets past this 30 level, which again is structure, the next level up here is going to be around 50. So something to keep in mind. Buy areas here, 1450 to roughly about 20. It's pretty much in that area right now. I mean, again, you guys can do what you want to do with that, but I'm just presenting the opportunity here. So to get to 50, 237% gain, that's pretty good in my opinion. Zcash, man, this thing just don't stop. So told you guys forever, and again, nobody ever wants to buy these things when they're boring and not attractive. You guys can literally see in real time the amount of positioning we've taken in CLSK. Why? Because we've seen this same old swan song before, right? Probably, I don't even know how many times, maybe like, it's got to be at least like 20 or 30, 40 times at this point. Yeah, so it's literally, well, okay, this dump is not great, but usually, literally, when it goes sideways, what does it do? It usually does eventually have a breakout. And again, I know this, I'm aware this is not perfect, but if I were just to kind of measure it, and it's a little hard to see here because again, these candles are like really hideous here, but so you can see these candle bottoms here, right? And these are tops. So this is a structural level that has to get broken at that $15 level. But if I move this over, and again, this is part of the reason why I hate this chart because it looks so ugly. You guys can see this thing is doing what? Mostly sideways, okay? In between 830 and 15. And eventually it will break out of there. When it does, it's going to be probably pretty explosive, pretty fast, would be my guess. So same thing on Zcash. Forever and a day it was chopping sideways. Now it's breaking out. If you had bought kind of more closely towards the bottom of this accumulation zone, you'd be up massively right now. So 140% gain. Of course, it could even go higher. That's possible. So $6 as the buy zone. Target's probably going to be about 960 to, I'd say, about 10 and a quarter as of right now. Again, I know it's not a huge move, but we'll talk about these as they get higher. Of course, if you don't want to sell up here and you're like, man, screw that, I want to wait till it gets to like $50. Okay, well, you'll just have to wait to the next video. That's fine. I mean, we intend to hold for roughly at least probably somewhere between a 50 to 100% gain on CLSK. But just to kind of drill the point home before we close out here, I did want to show you guys on some stock charts exactly what it looks like when something goes sideways and just explodes higher. And again, this literally happens just about everywhere that you look, that something goes sideways at a low. SoundHound, $3.50 to $17 now, 381% move up. Here's another good example, one we have not looked at in a very long time. We swing traded this at one point, but made some money too. But yeah, it spent a very, very long time in accumulation. Absolutely ridiculous amount of time, actually. But you guys can see it's now breaking out. Trying to think of other ones here. So let's take a look at maybe Robinhood, because I know this one had a pretty really insane move. So again, you got your accumulation here at the lows. A very long boring period of time. Probably would have had to be pretty patient with this one, but if you had been, man, it would have paid off huge. So you would have bought in at $7, sold at $40, you'd be up 430% on Robinhood, which is one of the platforms we use here. Or if you didn't get it down there, you could have got it right here. And then eventually it broke out. Massive gain, 120%. SoFi is another good one. I mean, literally can't make this up. Here's the zone right here, right? Down here at the bottom of the zone, $6, currently sitting at 16. Again, we missed out on this too as well because we were doing options. Didn't realize it was going to explode this much. 170% gain. Trying to think of another one. So Palantir is another good example. And again, we talk about this all the time in crypto, so it does show up in crypto as well. So Palantir, you have this huge kind of ugly looking sideways here, and then what happened, this thing just absolutely went stupid. Everybody started FOMOing in. So from trough to peak, 320% gain, huge gains here, so about a 3.5x. And again, I want to point this out, okay? And the same thing happened on Bitcoin too. So this is when smart money gets in, okay? Right here. When it's going sideways, it's doing nothing, it's boring, nobody wants it, that's when they get in. This is when dumb money gets in right here, okay? Again, I can't tell you all what to do, but please do not be this guy, okay? Not financial advice, but please just don't be this guy, because we've even been caught in this a few times and we try our best to avoid it. We're not perfect. Obviously, sometimes we make mistakes, but more often than not, we usually get this right and we try to avoid this. Okay, so please don't be this guy. If you see an accumulation zone, just understand the opportunity is there. If you choose not to take advantage of it, that's your choice, but you may just have to look somewhere else or wait for a different opportunity in the future. All right, so anyways, hope you all enjoyed this content. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all later. Peace.